Guys, welcome back to another episode of Native. We're on the podcast today. We've got Reese, DEAD ZODIAC from Perth, Australia, and we've got Stephen here. Reese, what have you been doing these last couple of years as DEAD ZODIAC?
Yeah, so obviously DEAD ZODIAC was spawned out of like my previous project Voltron.
Yeah.
It's my new solo project. So what I've been doing with that is I've also started my own label called PROTOCODE as well. So I've had a few releases under DEAD ZODIAC on a US label called Santoko. That was the first release that I did with Profane.
Yeah.
It was like a collab EP. He was like the one of the other members of Voltron as well. That came out in 2018 as the way to kick off the project. And then I started PROTOCODE with Ross, Profane, Matt Eason, and Ash Against Odds. We launched that in September. So had another release on that on like the Ascension LP, the first one. Then I had another release on Lifestyle Records UK. And then I did like my own solo EP on PROTOCODE in February 2019, and then followed it up with another one in December as well on PROTOCODE. Where I'm at with it now, so I've got like another release on the Kill Tomorrow 5-year anniversary LP, which actually comes out this Friday on the 17th.
Yeah, I saw that post on the Perth Drum&Bass page.
Yeah.
Listen, it's awesome.
Yeah,
and that page is wicked as well.
Yeah, no, it's good. It brings the community together there. And that is like a collaboration track with another fellow Perth producer, Density, as well. So watch out for him because he's making some killer tracks as well. Currently, I am working on an album, or trying to.
Nice.
But yeah, like I'm just trying to prioritize my release schedule around the album, or if I want to break it down into smaller releases. So
yeah.
And is that planned to be released on PROTOCODE?
Yeah, I plan to. Like I made a decision like late last year that I kind of want to release all my best material on PROTOCODE. Like I'm sort of a bit over just pursuing other labels and stuff like that. So I think I've got like a good thing with PROTOCODE, and
Definitely.
I want to grow that and make it as best as I possibly can.
What's the idea that like sparked it? Was it at the same time as you're transitioning from Voltron to DEAD ZODIAC, or it's always been in the back of your mind that you've wanted to start it up?
Yeah, definitely. I think having a label is something like was an idea in the back of my mind even while I was doing Voltron to do it, but I just didn't have like the resources or time to do it. And then I met like Matt and Ash, and I told them about an idea. I'd like to start a label, and they were also on the same page as well. And yeah, we all got together. We spoke about it, and we decided to launch it. And I think the idea about it is just not only just to release our own content, but like find like the best content around the world, like the best drum and bass, forward-thinking music, and be an outlet for those people. Yeah.
Did you always plan for it to also be like an events sort of thing as well, or did that just happen?
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. We wanted to do our own label nights.
Yeah. Sweet.
I think it is important to remember that we are still primarily a label.
Yeah.
And the releases and the events sort of go hand in hand as a way to help promote the music and the brand, of course. Yeah.
Cool.
Definitely see a live experience, because we've been down to a couple of the events, and they've really been going off like since you first started, and you've had a couple of internationals like Zombie Cats and whatnot come through.
Yeah.
And you've got Teddy Killers and Jade coming up.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun, man. Like that, to be able to have like those two top tier talents and another premier like neurofunk label, coming down to Perth under a PROTOCODE banner is amazing. Like it is a dream come true.
Bucket list ticked off.
Yeah. So that'll be a fun night. So
and the gathering you've got as well organised. That's a huge lineup.
Yeah.
What sort of sparked your idea for that? You just wanted to get the whole community involved.
Yeah, pretty much, man. Like it was more of like we've got this great like we've got a lot of talent out there in Perth. A very diverse range of like a lot of great producers, and like really it's like a lot of it's undiscovered as well. And I just thought it was a good idea to just get everyone together and just put them all on one lineup. So like we do like a Let It Roll sort of style festival, but a Perth one, you know what I mean? So
everyone's feeling it, definitely. I think that everyone's reaction has been really positive about the event.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with the originally it was just all going to be all locals, but you know ACOB was touring around the same time, so I thought,
might as
well have them on as well. So but no, it's going to be a fun event, and that's the one we're looking forward to the most, I think. Yeah.
Did you want to? I'm really interested to hear how sort of you developed the fall, because I've been listening to that non-stop last week, and just how you collaborated with the female singer, and how you got on board with that idea.
Yeah, man, this is a really cool story. Like originally, the track for that vocal was originally for like a liquid tune that I made, and I really wanted to make a liquid song with like some vocals in it. I sent that liquid track to Veronica, who came back and she wrote some lyrics to it, like recorded her vocals, recorded the hooks and everything and ad-libs, sent it all back to me, but I lost the original project of the liquid tune in when I did a computer upgrade. So like, you know, some of the key parts were like missing. So then I was writing another track and I was like, all right, I wonder if these vocals like fit. And I chucked those vocals in, and next thing you know, hey, there's the hook.
Yeah.
Like, and it was just like magic.
Happy accident.
Yeah, and I'm glad it turned out that way too. You know,
Yeah.
it was one of my favorite tracks I've ever done, and Veronica was such a pro to work with. Like, very, very talented girl. Another Perth talent. You know.
Yeah, it just sounds so professional. I didn't realize she was from Perth as well. And I wasn't expecting it to be like that. It was just a really beautiful song that you made.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah.
So how long have you been producing for?
Producing, like seriously, like proper producing, where I've like, you know, spent like a good amount of time doing it. Probably about 8 years, 8 to 9 years now.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's definitely got a very refined sound.
Yeah. It's been a hell of a grind. So.
Yeah.
And speaking of even producing, like your mixing ability as well, everybody's
it's insane.
seeing your energy on the decks. I think the first time I saw you was just one of them Inhibit gigs, but yeah, as a Voltron. High energy, really like in the zone sort of thing. When you see like a DJ doing that, it's just like the best feeling sort of to see, because you're vibing off their energy at the same time as you're vibing off your own.
Yeah,
you can definitely tell you love what you do.
Oh, damn! I love DJing, man. Yeah. Like it's one of my favorite things. Like it's a release for me, and what I try and do is I just put the energy out there and try and, you know, translate that onto the dance floor for other people to, you know, enjoy and listen to. You know, because you know that's what we come out and listen to drum and bass for, is to dance and have a good time, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So I mean, and that's what it is for me. I'm just having a good time when I go up there and play. Like it's so much fun.
Yeah, it definitely shows as well. You just
and
enjoying yourself.
And you know, and I do, that's something that I do take pride in as well. I want to make sure when I go up there, I want to make sure I'm doing my best and putting on a good show for everyone. So
so what program are you running off at the moment, or have you always been on the same one?
I did switch over to Ableton after about a good 7 or 8 years in Cubase. And yeah, like I wrote, you know, the whole full EP, and all my new music is all done in Ableton now. I switched over to that because Matt, Eason, and Ash Against Odds were like really hounding me to have a go at it.
Yeah.
And a lot of, you know, my other fellow producers as well, like, you know, Confucius and Bold Theory, they're all on it, and they were like saying, "Oh, give this a go." And Bold Theory came over to my house and he was like, "All right, we're going to work on a track, and by the end of it, you're going to be using Ableton for the rest of your life." And it worked, eh? It worked, so I haven't looked back since. So.
Do you have any favorite VSTs or plugins you use often, or?
Yeah, so I like a lot of the stock plugins in Ableton.
Yep.
You know, things like the saturator, the overdrive, and things like the control rack, like the effect racks and stuff are great in it. But you know, outside of the stock plugins, my favorite ones would be Trash 2.
Yeah.
It's just good distortion one. Camel Fat 3, obviously Serum. and Contact, which is like my favorite sampler.
Yeah.
Like those you'll hear. I always use those in every single track, and I think for the odd bits here and there, I like Raw 2, and Spire.
Okay, I haven't heard of those, to be honest. Are they, like, what sort of...
So I think Raw 2 or Raw Pap and Raw is it's a distortion based synth.
Okay.
So if you really want to make a lot of gritty sort of bass lines, that is a really, really good one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's got a lot of phase distortions in it. Spire is really good if you want to make a lot of sort of the trancey sounds.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of cool banks and preset packs in that. So if you want to make like atmospheres or really cool like trancey melodics, I'd highly recommend that VS2.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
Yeah.
Did you have any, like, challenges when starting PROTOCODE? Like, any struggles or...
I guess like it was new to us. Like, I think getting into a rhythm of how it all works, like we had a pretty good idea of what we needed to do. Like, we had to get distribution, we had to find artwork, we had to get music off artists, because you know that is actually a bit of a struggle there as well, because like when you're a new label and you're trying to hit up artists for music, like it's just like, well, hey, like how do I know if you're legit? You know what I mean? So that's a bit of that was a bit of a struggle there, but like we used a lot of our contacts there. I know Matt is very close with people from like Kaiser from Germany. We managed to get like a release out of him. I'm very close with people from Volatile Cycle in the UK. They managed to do a track for us as well. So they kind of brought into the idea. We asked nicely, and we pulled it off. And that was I'd say that was probably about the only challenge there.
And your artwork's very unique. So who does all that?
Yeah, we've got this really cool artist called Ash Cox. I think her artist name is Altitude or Altixide or something. I'm not too sure how it's pronounced, so I do apologize if you're watching this, Ash. But yeah, she's based over in Brisbane there. I was just scrolling through Instagram and her art just popped up, and I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. We have to use her. Yeah,
so, definitely suits the vibe of the music for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Did she do the one for Teddy Killers and Jay?
No, that was the flyer. That one was from like an actual Russian artist.
Yeah.
Ash, she just does all our like PROTOCODE like release
art. The promo things. Yeah.
Album.
That's wicked.
But yeah, like the artwork and the media side of it is something that we do take quite serious. Like, it's not something that we want to be cheap about. So
no, it definitely makes a difference, because it does stand out. When it first coming out, you know, you got a couple, but you've got the consistency. And you just start noticing, all right, this is their vibe, this is their theme, and it just works really well with Neuro, because it's got sort of the hybrid steampunk sort of vibe. And I'm sure that's exactly what you're going for.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, like I just think the detail of her work and like the 3D art that she does is just amazing, and it's very unique. Yeah, so we're lucky to have found her.
What are you working on at the moment? So you're saying you've been working on an album, or you're not sure as of yet if it's going to be an album or not? But
I'm always working on music. Like, I've just come off like a bit of a 5-week break because I've had to move house and other things have come up. But I got back into the studio last week there, and I'm just writing as much music as I possibly can. And then I'm going to sort of review it in about a few months' time of whether or not is this going to be an album, or do I just want to release, you know, a couple more singles or some EPs. So, because if I do an album, I want it to tell a story.
Sure.
I just don't want it to be like a 12 tracks of tunes, you know what I mean? Like it has to tell a story. So we'll see what happens after a few months. I think we do have like I do have like a couple of smaller releases on some VA LPs coming out on PROTOCODE, and maybe like a single. And I've got a collab single with Matt Eason as well coming out. So we're doing 2 tunes on PROTOCODE.
That'd be wicked to hear. Because we saw you guys played Freak Show at Badlands.
Yeah.
That was wicked.
Oh yeah, man.
And even seeing live drum and bass, that was actually first experience for myself. those dudes. Who was
Freak
before?
Show.
Win,
Oh.
Freak Show, you guys back to back. And who was before Win?
I think Tiny Beats, was it?
I think so. Something like that. Yeah, that was just a really good night.
Yeah.
Yeah, Freak Show really stepped it up over the past few years. Like, that was like a good 3-4 years since I saw them last play, and man, they have leveled up big time.
Yeah, it's a very unique thing they do. It's good to.
They did, I think, a Caliber cover as well.
Yeah.
Didn't they? Yeah.
So they do they do originals and covers, which is really cool. Like, they did a cover of "Elevate the Sound" by Calix and TV. That was really cool to watch, and I think they nailed that really well.
Yeah, definitely.
It's, I think 7-piece band, was it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I've noticed that they've actually added on to the band because the last time I saw them play, it was a bit of a smaller group, but now I see that they've got someone on the synths and keys there.
Yeah.
Obviously they've still got the MC there. They've got the drummer there. And they've got another backup vocalist, which is cool. So
Yeah.
So with your production, for the drums, I noticed they're really punchy. Do you use samples or?
yeah, man, drums is something that I sort of pride myself on in production. I know in a lot of my earlier tunes as Voltron, I used to send a lot of tracks off to Regular from Zombie Cats, and the one thing that he said to me, if you ever want to take your music to the next level, you have to really focus on your drums.
Yeah.
Your kicks and snares really need to be, they really need to poke through, they need to be punchy, they need to be well driven, and ever since I got that advice, I always make sure my beats are tight like that. Because there's a reason why it's called drum and bass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the drums are the backbone of a track.
Yeah, definitely.
And if it doesn't punch through, then the song just loses its energy or
Absolutely.
that atmosphere.
It's like being born without a vertebrae.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to do anything. So that's something that's always a main focus of mine is as well as all the other elements, but I make sure that the drums are really poke through. So
Do you have any tips to sort of get it to poke through? Or?
yeah, absolutely. What you should do is you should layer up your drums with some synth sounds, so synth drums. So there's a few patches you can get through Serum. So basically, I'll layer up a snare synth from Serum underneath the sample there to give it a bit of extra transient there. I also use kick too for my kicks.
Yep.
That's really good. I also use addictive drums as well. If you're going for more of a natural acoustic kind of sound in your drums, I do recommend using addictive drums and running that through compressors and distortion units to just bring them out, bounce them out to audio, layer them up, and clean them up with a bit of mid-side EQ. And yeah, you should have some pretty mean sounding drums there, but it's the trick is not to overdo it.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to do it. Honestly, just layer up sounds there, add some distortions if it needs it, tidy up with EQ, and just use your ears there.
Yeah.
And reference as well.
Yeah, that's very important.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, we're pretty lucky these days because we've got access to a lot of really good high quality samples from other producers. So don't be afraid to use those as well. And you can make good drums by getting a whole heap of different samples from sample packs, layering them together and coming up with something unique. So that's a very quick and easy way to do it. But I do recommend if you want that extra punch and poke in your drums, do lay them up with some synth sounds. Yeah.
Thanks for that. That's a very good tip.
Yeah.
I think that's what I started doing, is slicing a lot of samples and then layering them and just cutting the tails and the transients and making them a bit wider, and then started layering them with synthetic sounds. And then now it's actually just gone straight to synthesis, just producing the drums and whatnot.
Yeah.
But still, learning curve, like you said, take your time on the processing because it's really easy to overdo.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it just sounds like, what is this? I spent 3 hours on this and produce nothing.
Artifacts. I don't know if you guys subscribe to his channel. Oh, dude, he's like this Austrian guy, absolute wizard in Ableton with Serum. He's just a wizard sound designer. He's got some really good tips on drum processing and drum layering as well. Yeah, he's and if you do get a chance as well, probably try and watch the meth use tutorial. That was on Sample Genie a few years ago. He does a few like really good tutorials there on like synth drums as well.
Awesome.
So,
Definitely check that out.
yeah.
I noticed on Facebook you've built your own studio. Was that a long time to sort of get to that stage, or?
Yeah, like that. I've just moved into a new house and I'm able to actually have a studio like that. So,
yeah.
I mean, I did have like a full padded room in my old house there. And again, I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
But like, obviously the thing is like, if you want to make music, you want to make it in a big room with high ceilings. So, that's what that new house has got. It's a bigger room with higher ceilings, and I was just like, oh my God, this is like a godsend, this room. So, yeah, I just wanted to make it as cool as possible, because I'll be there for a while, I think, so.
And does the padding help quite a lot with?
Yeah, definitely. I think it does. I do think I may have overcooked it a little bit, because I was reading up, some people said you only need to like pad up about 60% of the room. I probably did about 80 to 75%, but yeah, it does, because like if you've got a big room and if you've got like floorboards and you play music with the speakers, you're going to get a lot of reverb.
Yeah. So
if you put some padding in there to stop that reverb and stop that aftertone, it's going to make the sound of your speakers more accurate. You know, especially because I've got like Adam A77Xs, and
nice.
You know, it's, you know, why you know, if you're going to spend money on those speakers, you need to have a good sounding room. So
Yeah, definitely.
Otherwise, it's just a waste. Yeah.
Do you use a sub as well?
I use the sub pack instead.
I've got one of those as well.
They're amazing. So it saves the whole use of needing to get a sub.
Yeah.
And that's really good, man, because like if you're wanting to see how like the kick sits with your sub, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are those? They only come like a couple $100 or?
Like $600.
No, the sub packs, they're actually not that. They're about 350 from memory, like Australian dollars. So
yeah.
They're good. Yeah, they're really good, and they come from the USA. They ship directly. Like the good warranty as well. Like I did accidentally blow up one of them because I overcooked the amplifier, and I messaged Subpack, and because it was in the 12 months, they just shipped me out a new one. Didn't have to return the old unit. So
Awesome.
yeah.
It'd be funny in the fine print, it's like no dubstep or drum and bass warranty.
Yeah, no, it's cool, man. Like I see a lot of like producers have got them, man. Like a lot of drum and bass guys, even a lot of the US dubstep guys are using them a lot as well.
How have you found it since you've got yours?
Yeah, super.
Yeah.
Yeah, helpful. Just figuring out where the kick should sit with the sub. It's pretty much vital for that.
Yeah.
And it's probably ideal as well if you've got like housemates or something.
Yeah.
It doesn't really rumble the whole house.
Yeah, I live in an apartment block, so pretty much can't.
Yeah,
can't
absolutely.
have a sub.
Yeah, and it's good. It's good if you're in like a non-treated room as well. So like really, all you need is like to produce music these days. It's just a good pair of headphones and that sub pack, man, and you're actually pretty good to go, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely.
All the other extra stuff is just for personal sort of gain.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah. I mean,
personal preference like speakers and I don't know, room treatment and whatnot.
I guess, I don't know, like when I started producing, like the technology has come along so much. Like I'll never forget that time I met that ex-Cork guy. We had him out and he was touring Australia. Honestly, he was just making beats on like this Mac laptop and a pair of Beats by Dre headphones. And they were some of the sickest tunes I've ever heard in my life. I'm just like, it's the ear, not the gear.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean that's a common thing that I hear a lot. And I guess, you know, the reason why I got like speakers and, you know, stuff like that is because when I first started producing is I saw all my mates have a very similar setup. They'd have the studio monitors and the computer and MIDI keyboard, and I thought, okay, well that's maybe how I have to have my setup. And that's not necessarily the case. Like I think it comes down to preference. Like I know Bold Theory, like Harry Confucius, you know, there's some Perth guys there that are just like got a really good pair of studio headphones there and are just making tracks on their laptop. You know, we know how consistent Harry is, and How
Yeah.
amazing is Bold Theory as well? His stuff is mind blowing.
So have you ever thought of using like hardware in your studio, or is that not really important, I guess?
I borrowed my mate's like Moog sub 30 synth
Cool.
because he works in mining and he's just away at times. And honestly, I used it once and I never used it again.
Fair enough.
I just think it's, the hardware synths, they're just a bit of a pain to use and set up.
Yeah.
When you can actually just, when the software synths sound so good.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, Serum's awesome.
Yeah, I think maybe 15, 20 years ago, when, back in the day, like, it used to be all about, like, hardware and having racks of equipment, but now the way that technology's progressed, you don't really need that anymore.
There's like hardly any latency. It's just no lag on any of the programs.
And everything sounds clean.
CPU power is so much better now.
Yeah, I actually honestly think the digital synths sound better than the analogs.
Yeah.
Like 100%, I'll say that. Like, I know that will piss off a lot of analog heads, but I will say, like, I think the digital synths sound better than the analog ones. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
A couple of mouse clicks and then the sound's already there.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you do want to have that hardware feel, like, the thing is you can assign like, some of those knobs to macros on your MIDI keyboard if your MIDI keyboard allows it, so you can, like, press some keys and mess around with a filter or LFO and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you master all your own like songs and everything?
Yeah, I do. Like, I prefer to do my own self masters because every time I've got someone else to master my music, it just hasn't.
Come out like you wanted to.
Yeah. Like I've got a few horror stories as well as as Ross Profane, he does as well. When we were doing Voltron, we've had like a few people like try and master our music, and it's just like, nah, this is not cool.
So do you use Ozone or?
Yeah, so I use I definitely use Ozone. Isotype Ozone is a must there. Like I use a couple of different instances of that throughout. So like I like to use the harmonizer in it, the limiter, the compressor, and then another maximizer underneath it.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
But what other, have you just been using Ozone or any of the other Isotope plugins at all? For the stuff?
For mastering, yeah, I just use the Isotope stuff.
Yeah.
I also do use that Limitless, which is like a multi-band limiter as well. That's pretty cool. That's a bit of an added thing there as well. And I also use the K-Zorg K-Clipper as well, which just so if the track is clipping, it's really clean and it just keeps everything at 0 on the threshold. But in regards to the other Isotope things, I do use the Trash 2 distortion, but I don't use that for mastering. So.
Yeah.
What have you found your workflow to be because you've said you're making songs like every day sort of thing, as many songs as you can. How have you found when you're starting a song? Do you sort of, all right, I got to get this song finished today, or just let it free flow, or?
I've recently changed up my work style a little bit.
Yep.
I try and sort of work in half-an-hour blocks now. So I'll try and start a song. I'll spend maximum half an hour on it. It doesn't matter what it sounds like. I just focus on getting an idea down as quick as I can. I don't really focus on the quality of it. I store that idea away, don't listen to it for a week, and then I'll work on one of my other ideas. Before I do that, I'll have a listen to what needs to be done, if I can add anything or take away, or if I need to change anything. I'll spend another half an hour session, then I'll break it down into different sort of time slots, like 10 minutes to add in the pad there, 15 minutes to make in a better lead, 5 minutes to improve the edit there of this particular section, work on that, half an hour done, then the next track.
Yeah.
So just depending on how my schedule is looking for the day, I work part-time from Wednesday to Friday, so I work 2 full-time days, Monday to Tuesday, so I don't have much time on those days to work on music, so I usually have about 3-4 hours
And then you also got a label to run.
Yeah,
so.
that to work on music. So then I've got like my Saturdays and Sundays where I can spend full days on it.
Yeah.
But honestly, like I find like having those short 2-3 hour sessions is when you're the most effective, because you use most of your brain power in the first 2 hours of a session. It's interesting research. Like, you know, there's this whole thing, you've got to do these big, long 8-hour sessions, but, you know, you can be quite inefficient during those 8 hours. Whereas if you set yourself like a deadline, all right, I've got half an hour to do this, or I've got 15 minutes to do this, you can actually achieve some pretty good results, you know, because you're putting that pressure on you to deliver. And you might think it sounds like crap at the time, but when you go back and listen to like a week later, you'll surprise yourself. You really will surprise yourself, especially when I'm doing these draft streams where I'm just not caring at all, being a bit carefree. I'm just like, hey, this actually bangs. Like, there's a really good idea here. If I do this and this, I can grow. Because you're never going to write the song that you want or that you dream of on the day you open up your door. It's very rare that's happened. It's probably happened about 3 or 4 times in my entire time of writing music. And yeah, so this method here, it's keeping me a little bit more consistent, I think, in the studio and just writing music.
Do you have another pair of ears to like listen back?
So guys like Matt, Ash and Ross.
You just swing the idea.
Yeah, swing, hey, what do you guys think of that?
Yeah.
Hey, I've done this, it's growing at this point, what do you think? Is it yay or nay? And a couple of guys from overseas as well, like guys like Volatile Cycle, they'll have a listen to it for me.
Yeah.
Guys like, Kaiser from Germany as well, they'll have a listen as well. So.
When you start a track, do you usually like start with drums or intro, or is it just different every song?
Most of the time it's drums, but like if I'm just, if I feel like breaking the routine, I'll do something different. I might, start off with some bass sounds, or I might start off with an intro, like some pads or some melodies or a lead, and just see what happens from there.
Yeah.
I guess it all stems from the idea session, but like you said, drums are the backbone of drum bass. So if the drums start kicking, then you already get that idea just naturally in your head.
Yeah, because I suppose like you do write around like the drums of the track that are like, depending on how the drums sound, is how the rest of the track is going to come out there. So, if you've got some quite heavy drums, you're probably going to expect the track to be quite a bit of a heavy banger or kind of a stepper. Whereas if you've got sort of like minimal stripped back drums, like more sort of rim shot snares, then you're probably going to be a bit more of like a minimal kind of stripped back, like mellowed out tune.
Have you put any breaks and stuff over the top of your tracks as well a lot?
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of layering?
Yeah, definitely. Like I like to layer some stuff. Like sometimes I'll get it from a sample pack, or otherwise I might actually make a break in Addictive Drums.
Yeah.
Like run that through compressors, bounce that out, and then layer it underneath.
Yeah.
So, that's one way to do it. I think it's cool to have a backing break underneath there, and just chop it up. And I think like Ableton's really good for that as well, where you've got like the automatic transient slicer, so it actually shortens like the release time for you.
Wait, where's this function? Sorry.
Oh yeah, so if you drop in your sample there, right, and you've got like the editor, right, the sample editor there, where it's like near the transpose and volume and pitch
with the warp and all that.
Yeah, there's like a little slider there with some arrows going that way. That's how you affect the transient of the track. Yeah, and there should be a little slider at the bottom there of numbers. So move the slider down to 0. That means it's a very, very short release time. Obviously, if you want longer, move it up. Yeah.
Do you use Ableton stock compressors?
I use the stock compressors for like side chaining because it's quite easy to do it in that. But like if I'm using like proper compression, like I use like Fab Filter.
Okay.
Pro C2, like that's my favorite. Just because of the visual aspect of it, and you can actually see like how much it's dipping. So. Cool. And how much the compression is affecting it.
Awesome. Thanks for coming in today.
Yeah,
and
thank
having
you
a
for
chat
having me,
with us.
guys. Hey, it was awesome.
Yeah, wicked. So the next event that's coming up for PROTOCODE.
Yeah, so we've got Jade and Teddy Killers at March 7th at Sewing Room.
Sorry, room.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that'll be good. So, yeah, real stoked to have those guys there. They've been wanting to come back out to Australia for a while, so we've got them under the Eat Brain banner, which is cool. So,
Definitely going to be a wicked night.
Yeah.
And Sewing Room's been a really good venue. That's really popped up recently.
yeah, definitely. I think it's such a good venue for underground music. Like the vibe is just great there. Like and the acoustics are pretty cool as well. I do like the sound system. It bangs a lot, and it's also a real fun venue to play at as well.